Hi people, and how my Chili Concarnage crew, it's Chili here, the man who produced Design from My Eyes, doing a 5-minute review on Blood Incantation's album Absolute Elsewhere. So, this album came highly recommended from the chill dude on the couch, and I knew I had to give it a spin. He has given me some absolute gems before, so why would this be any different? Now, as I enter the band's page, I am greeted by some intriguing artwork, which I must mention. And considering that I've never heard of this band, the first thing that jumps to my mind is how these guys must be a death metal group, because they have one of those used sneeze guard looking kind of band fonts. You know the type. The ones that are extremely hard to decipher and require a visual translator app. The next aspect, when I clicked into the album, was how there were only 2 songs split into 3 parts, telling me that this should be some proggy influences on this record as well, or at least that was my guess. Well, let's not guess anymore, let's listen and decide. So according to the band's bio, the group are a Denver-based death metal core group which incorporates psychedelic rock elements into their music. Now, despite this 5-second snippet of a song that I played for you just earlier, it just doesn't do the full song any true justice, and I can assure you they do toy with this style in their music, but I can't show you the full extent unless I want to get a big old copyright strike. Also, to do it justice, I would have to play a 20-minute segment, because these tracks on the album combined make up 2 songs and each of them are 20 minutes in length. That's correct, you heard me right. This album is 43 minutes in length and contains essentially just 2 tracks split into 3 parts each. Now, I've got absolutely nothing against long tunes, but the real question is, do you? Because if you're more into the realm of napalm death length songs, then this record is simply not going to be to your liking. So how to adeptly describe just what the hell I'm listening to? Well, I guess we should begin with the first song, The Stargate, as told in 3 parts. And right from the get-go, we have some nice guttural vocals paired with some weaker guitar riffs, and these go hand in hand with the pounded drums found on here. This song is 6 solid minutes of this type of pacing, and it doesn't feel too out of place to a death metal album like it should. And in fact, it should teeter into familiar territory for the listeners of this genre. Now, it's not until we reach the second track of this track, which features Tangerine Dream, that the song takes a major right-hand turn and divulges into a more proggy space rock sound in a proggy rock space sounding affair with the inclusion of synth sections and acoustic guitars that almost feel like a 5-minute interim piece, to be honest. But once we begin on part 3 of this epic, we're back into the usual grind, with blast beats, furious pacing assaulting our senses before peeling away and giving us a breather towards the end. Meanwhile, the second half of this LP, we have a 3-part tune, of course, The Message, which begins this voyage with a 6-minute starting piece and feels more intuitive as the guitar work shown here is a keen sense of more emotive work and, I guess, traditional sounding prog rock affairs on hand. While of course it does mix up that split-second changes at almost any moment, and it is certainly retaining the death metal affairs, it's still an interesting mix to hear the 2 just being interplayed. It's certainly one hell of a piece and a great way to kickstart the second half of the album. Part 2 on the other hand breaks it down for a slower paced reprieve while still retaining the tune's musical styles, and that's a welcoming one considering the behemoth that we are about to unveil as part 3 unashamedly launches us into the depths for its near 12-minute duration, and the epic scale of this closer is justified, of course, for the send-off of this album. Now, I will never be able to give this record its due diligence in this 5-minute review. Instead, the best way I can perhaps compare them is to another band such as Wayfarer, who have written death metal with a 19th century American Gothica in mind, and as one friend stated to me, wouldn't be out of place if it was heard in a Red Dead Redemption soundtrack. As for Blood Incantation, I think their music would be best suited to some kind of space epic, No Man's Sky, Starfield, or perhaps, better mention, Dead Space. Anyone who is a fan of that melodic death metal or that whole genre is certainly going to enjoy what this band has to offer, and I would highly recommend that they go and listen to this record for yourself. Overall, I would give this album a score of 7.5 million chilies on the spicy scale, with all 3 parts of The Message being my favourite track of this record. There is certainly a lot of talent to be found on this record, and it shows through the musicianship, but what is needed is perhaps a bit more of a push towards the experimental side of things to fully embrace their sound. If the group looked to the earlier mentioned band Wayfarer, for example, I think they might be able to embrace what they are trying to achieve and maybe just go full hog into that space rock kind of sound, while still, of course, retaining their original music. If you've enjoyed this content, make sure to smash that like button, subscribe to us, and stay notified for future music related content, because it keeps our manager happy at the end of the day. We are also on Discord, Instagram, Facebook, and all those other social platforms if you want to check us out. As always, people, you have a great day and stay spicy.